With AI coding and vibe coding tools changing by the minute and new ones launching every day, it can feel almost impossible to stay on top of the best ones to use. I spend most of my day using vibe coding tools for my own software like Covici, for my consulting clients, and to teach my Build Your Own Apps with AI course. So to save you a ton of time researching and testing things out on your own, here are the absolute best vibe coding or AI coding tools to use for different situations you might want to use them in as of October 2025. First and foremost, if you're only going to use one thing, I recommend GPT Codex. Now, Codex is a command line tool that lets you run an agent from your terminal to do all of your vibe coding for you. And if you already have a ChatGPT subscription, then you'll be able to use this to pay for a certain amount of Codex credits automatically. So that it saves you from having to sign up for another tool, and it is far and above the best coding agent out there right now. To install it, you can search for the Codex CLI, and they have a few ways that you can install it from the command line. Once it's installed, you can open it in your terminal of choice, and all you have to do is type Codex. You can allow it to work in the folder, and then you can make any requests that you want for things for it to build. So this is a content remixer that I built as a demo for remixing blog posts into tweets and LinkedIn posts and things like that. And if we want to work on it, all we have to do is tell Codex a simple command like, can you add a toggle in case I want to paste in a YouTube video transcript instead of a blog post. We'll tweak the prompt for this slightly too. And then Codex will get to work. Now, one criticism of Codex using GPT-5 is that sometimes it feels a little bit slow. However, I actually see this as a good thing because unlike some of the faster AI coding agents like Sonnet or Grok Code, Codex usually requires fewer follow-ups, so you can let it run on its own for 5, 10, 20 minutes, however long it needs, and then come back to it, and you're going to have a very solid solution. There's going to be a lot less follow-up, and in my experience, a lot less testing. So you're getting more out of each prompt that you put into it, and you don't need to constantly be following up with it. So if you're just using one thing, I definitely recommend using Codex in the command line interface because that is going to give you the best bang for your buck. Now, what if you want something fast and reliable? If you're looking for a coding agent that can get your work done very quickly and is great for smaller tasks like changing something on your site or adjusting a little part of the user experience, but maybe not doing a full architect of an app or implementing a major feature, for that, I really recommend Claude Code. Now, there is some debate about whether Claude Code or GPT Codex are better. And so if you just want to use Claude Code, and not use Codex, that's great too. It is a wonderful tool and I use it significantly. Installing it is once again very easy. You can just copy this command from the Claude Code site and then you can open it in your terminal by typing Claude. This works basically the exact same way as Codex, where you can type in commands for things that you want it to change. You'll see all of the changes appear in your code as it's working, and then it can even open PRs and push stuff to GitHub for you. Codex can do that as well. With the recent release of Sonnet 4.5, Claude Code does excellent work for significantly cheaper than it used to. And just like with GPT Codex, Claude Code can use your existing Anthropic subscription to cover a certain amount of your credits when you're using Claude Code. So if you're not doing anything crazy and you want something fast and reliable, then I definitely recommend you try out Claude Code. Now, what if you want something that is extremely cheap and right now is actually free? For that, I'm going to open Cursor. And Cursor, if you don't already know, is a full code editor with AI agents built into it. And you can pick which agents you use. You can see it has Claude 4.5 Sonnet that we were just using. It has GPT-5 that we were using in the Codex CLI. And for those, I find that they work better in the command line tools than they do in Cursor. You get a little bit more out of them. But if you want a fast and free agent, Cursor has one you should definitely check out. If we go select our agent and we scroll down, it's not going to be here by default. So we need to go to Add Models. And then if we open this up and we keep going, you can find Grok Code Fast 1, and we'll turn that on. And now it should be in our available models. And Grok Code Fast 1 is fast. It's really fast. And so again, if you're doing smaller things, it can quickly make those tweaks for you. So if I said something like tweak the landing page to show that it's also great for podcast transcripts, it can go ahead and make those changes and do it really quickly. And like I said, right now, Grok is free. So there's no limits on how much you use it, and it lives right in Cursor. So if you want to be cost conscious while still doing a lot of vibe coding, this is a really great option for you to consider. You can see it's done. Now, what if you want to run multiple programming agents at once, either within the same project or across multiple projects? Well, there are obviously a few ways to do this. You can spin up multiple tabs in Cursor and have different Cursor windows open to manage them that way. You can, of course, open up multiple terminals. So I could open another one, right? And I could go into that Remixer folder and I could open another Claude instance or open a separate Codex instance. But the best way that I have found to do this is with a tool called Conductor. And this is at conductor.build. And Conductor provides this really beautiful user interface where you can manage your coding agents across your different folders, and you get notifications and status updates as things change and as they need your feedback. So you can see I have it running here on my writing app, Kovici, and the blog. I have it running for the Build Your Own App site, a couple other projects, and it just makes it so easy to spin up new agents to work on things. And the way it does it is it uses something called Git work trees, where each agent is working in an isolated version of your code, so that if you have multiple agents running at once, they're not on top of each other causing any kind of conflict. Starting a new one is very simple. You open it up, it runs whatever setup scripts you've defined for it, and then you can just issue some commands. So I can say, change the main header font in the nav bar to Playfair Display. This will dispense a task to Claude, Sonnet 4.5 in this case, because that's the one that I've specified, to make this change. And we'll be able to see what files have been changed. We can open those up, and we can run terminal commands from here too. Now, you're not limited to using Claude in Conductor, because you can also use their big terminal mode to run Codex. And so even if I'm using Codex, which is not the main thing that Conductor is optimized for, I'll still do it in Conductor because these work trees allow me to be confident that my work isn't going to overlap and I'm not going to cause issues by doing multiple things at once. So if you want to run multiple agents in parallel, I definitely recommend Conductor. Now, what if you want to run your agents remotely? So say you're not at your computer and you want to get a coding agent to go do some work for you while you're off at dinner or while you're sleeping. For that, I really love Factory. And Factory has their own UI that you can log into to dispense coding agents across your different projects. So similar to what you saw in the Conductor video, this allows me to send off a coding agent to work in the cloud on this repository. So if I wanted to do something on the Kovici blog, I can do that here. I can say, change the header fonts to Playfair and the body fonts to Railway. I can choose which model, and this gives you pricing based on which model you're using. So it tells you how many of your credits you're going to use. So I'll use GPT-5 Codex because it is very credit efficient on Factory, and then I will send it off and it will start working. And the great thing about this is that if I close my computer, it will keep going, which you don't get when you're using the local tools like Cursor, like the command line interfaces in the terminal and with Conductor. So if you want to code on the go or send agents to work remotely while you're doing other things, Factory is an excellent tool for that. Now, what about making sure that your vibe coding tool of choice doesn't create any breaking issues or doesn't push unnecessary code, doesn't do anything ugly, doesn't create slop? What is the best way to avoid that? Well, the best code review tool that I have found is the Claude Code code review tool. Setting this up is very easy. If you go into a Claude Code instance, so we open it with Claude and then we type /git to bring up install GitHub app. And then you go through that flow. We'll add the Claude Code review app and tool to your GitHub repository for wherever you're working. And what's really great about that is that once that has been added, whenever you open a new PR on GitHub, Claude will automatically run this review process on your code. It will look at the strengths, it will look at some code quality issues, as well as potentially breaking issues, and then it will give you suggestions for how to improve your code before you commit it to the main branch of your repository. This is excellent for getting a second set of eyes on anything you are vibe coding, especially if you're a solo engineer. So what I will often do is do the bulk of my work using Codex, push it up to GitHub and open a PR, and then get Claude to review Codex's work. Once Claude gives me this feedback, I'll then paste that back into Codex and ask it to review the feedback and see what it agrees with before implementing any of the suggestions. This gives you a very powerful review process for making sure that you are pushing high quality code and not just committing everything that AI generates on its first try. Finally, what is the best coding framework to use for vibe coding? Well, if you're building a simpler website like a landing page and blog, then definitely I recommend Next.js on Vercel, because all the vibe coding tools are really, really good at writing within this framework. You're not going to have too many errors, and it's going to be easy to set up. If you're doing a little bit more robust of a web app, like what I've done with my writing tool, I actually recommend using Laravel. Laravel also has very simple deployments using their Laravel cloud provider, which is quite similar to Vercel, but I have found that because Laravel is a little bit more opinionated of a framework and there are fewer ways to do things and more explicit ways to do things, you often get issues or requests resolved in fewer prompts when you're vibe coding in Laravel than you do in other frameworks. I've just found that I get the best results fastest in Laravel, and you can do basically everything you would want to do in a web app using it. So if you haven't tried it out, I definitely recommend that. Now, those are, in my opinion, the best apps to use for vibe coding or AI engineering as of October 2025, but I might have missed some. So if there are any that you think should absolutely be on this list, or if there are any categories that you think should be on this list that I didn't talk about, drop a comment below, because I'd love to hear what you're using and loving, or what you would like to find a great solution for when I come back and do this again in November.